topics and opinions expressed in the following show are solely those of the hosts and their guests and not those of W4CY Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4CY Radio or its employees or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4CY Radio.
Welcome to the Camping Show. I'm C.W. Getz.
And I'm Willow Munson.
It is Wednesday, September 22nd, 2021. And today we have a 62-degree Fahrenheit sunny day here, but windy. Very, very windy. Willow, what's the weather like where you're at?
Well, it finally got down to low 80s, but it's been rainy and humid all day. So still not my temperatures.
Yeah, I think you'd love it up here. This is like, this is fall. I hate fall. I would actually probably just take spring and summer all year round if I could give it a
Nope. Opposite. Fall and winter all the way.
Oh, wow. Yeah, we're totally different there for sure. Well, tonight's episode is brought to you by Campground Views, making camping easier.
And by Rutabaga Paddle Sports, providing time on the water.
Tonight's episode is Paddlemania with our special guest, Cliff Langley. Willow, could you tell us a little about Cliff, please?
44-year-old adventurer Cliff Langley holds a Master's of Education in Natural Science and Environmental Education. He's an avid outdoorsman who has guided whitewater rafting, kayak and canoe trips, high ropes, zipline courses, mountain biking, snowshoe, and cross-country skiing outings. His adventures have taken him from the shores and rivers of the Lake Superior region to the Rocky Mountains, Alaska wilderness, northern Canada, and the jungles of Central America. Cliff's short adventure films have appeared in film festivals and on regional PBS stations. His articles have been featured in the magazines Superior Outdoors and Northern Wilds, and his antics have been mentioned in articles such as Outside Magazine's 2007 Best Outdoor Towns.
Well, with that, welcome to the show, Cliff.
Welcome,
hey,
Cliff.
Hi, guys.
How are you?
Yeah. I'm good. Life is good. Fall's in the air up here. The fall colors are starting to pop on the North Shore Lake Superior, and the weather's been real nice. So it's, good vibes.
Yeah. You know, Willow's favorite weather is 90 degree and humid. You know that, right?
Haha. You're funny.
Yeah, right.
Have you been getting fall color with all the drought you guys have been having in Duluth?
Well, they say it's not going to be as good this year. Like there's going to be a lot more browns and the vibrant like oranges and yellows and stuff like that. But it's really starting to pop around here, like Lutsen, up at Lutsen Mountains, and like Ober, Carlton, Laveau, all those higher peaks in the Sawtooth Mountains, which, you know, for Minnesota, they're mountains, they're pretty small, but the colors are really starting to pop up there.
Wow.
That's really exciting. I'm jealous.
Good picture. Picture kind of a scenery sort of thing, but when it does that, all that, yeah,
for sure.
Sorry.
It's okay. I could talk about fall all day. So first off, let's have you share with us the details of Paddlemania.
Okay, well, basically what Paddlemania is, it's a whitewater kayaking event that showcases whitewater of the St. Louis River, which is the largest U.S. tributary of Lake Superior. And there's two sections of river that sport class 2 and 3 rapids, and the other section sports class 3 and 4, class 3, 4, and 5 whitewater. So paddlers from around the region and other states, sometimes as far as Pacific Northwest or the southeast part of the country, come to Carlton, Minnesota, which is about 15 minutes south of Duluth, to do some different style of kayak races and a waterfall competition on the St. Louis River.
Wow, nice.
And when was the first Paddlemania held?
The first Paddlemania was held in, I think it was 2003 or 2004, but it was actually done in Taylor's Falls, Minnesota. And then over time, it had a few different locations. And about 7 or 8 years ago, we brought it to the St. Louis River to kind of up the style and just like more challenging rapids and just add a little bit more to the event.
Yeah, pretty cool. Now, Cliff, what kind of events are held here within, included in Paddlemania?
Well, there's a race called Blast to the Bridge that starts basically just below the Thompson Dam. that's the dam that feeds the lower section of the river. And then to the swinging bridge, which is kind of an iconic suspension bridge across the St. Louis River in Jay Cooke State Park. But just this coming year, we're going to change it up a little bit and actually have 2 races. One that's a class like 3 and 4 race, and then the second part then is going to be a class 4 and 5 race. So we're going to switch it up a little bit so people can participate in both races, or just choose to do the easier one or go for the class 4 or 5 race.
Now, when you're telling us classes like that, this is not class 3, 4, 5 whitewater.
Yes, class 3, 4, 5 whitewater. And, the types of classifications change. This is more of like class 3, 4, 5 technical whitewater, where there's drops, pour overs, vertical things like anywhere from 4-foot drop offs to a couple of 12-foot drops, and kind of narrow constricted stuff versus like high volume, huge, like 8-foot crashing waves and stuff like that. So, and the St. Louis River can have huge crashing waves like that, but that's more like May and June. And we do the event in late July when it's a release through the Thompson Dam, and it's more tight, narrow kayaking that referred to as creek boating. And that's the style of races that we're running during this event.
Class 5 is extremely impressive. I mean, that's like, wow, that's entertaining. I mean,
yeah, it is. It's cool to watch, and the good paddlers make it look easy. So that's why there's always, like people like getting an inflatable kayak off of Amazon and being like, dude, I'm going to fire it up. And then, have terrible results, and they swim, get all cut up, and, hopefully they survive a bad swim. But yeah, class 5 is the real deal. Mistakes are made, people get hurt.
Yeah, really. Now, Willow, have you ever done this up there with any of this stuff?
I haven't. Well, there were some kayakers that were going to kind of teach me, but I ended up leaving, and I don't know, it just never worked out because I was always stand-up paddleboard whitewater, and I didn't want to take any time away from that.
Right.
So, yeah.
I mean, did you do class 5 in the paddle? No.
Yeah,
I'm thinking
no. I'm still a beginner.
Never think
that. You did. I thought you did some class 3 with Jared of Superior Paddle Academy. Did you guys do like?
Yeah, I got up to like a little bit of class 3.
Oh, that's cool.
But I think the water level was only really high enough to run that once.
Sure.
So it was primarily just kind of like playing in river waves, practicing crossing the eddy lines.
Nice. I don't know. Class 3 is pretty challenging on a stand-up paddleboard.
It's more fun, in my opinion.
It sounds impressive to me. I mean, hey, honestly.
And working with Superior Paddle Academy, it's funny to mention because your kind of crew of whitewater kayakers were always referred to as butt surfers in my kind of community.
I learned a term today. I've never heard of that. Why do they call them butt surfers?
Butt surfers?
Yeah,
because you're sitting on your butt surfing the waves.
That's okay. You're not standing up and doing all the. Okay, interesting.
Yeah. So for Paddlemania, are there skill level requirements for the participants to enter?
Certainly, yes, definitely.
Okay.
For the class 3-4 race and same thing class 4-5 race, basically you need other fellow paddlers to kind of, vouch for you that, hey, yeah, you're a legitimate kayaker. You have the skills to be here. And it's, kayaking, even though there's, American Whitewater says there's 2 million paddlers or more so in the United States, but it's a pretty small community. So most of the time there's somebody that knows somebody to vouch for you, just so that we don't have somebody show up and be like, yeah, man, I'm class 4-5 boater and never kayaked, go in the race and, just wipe out in a bad rapid and get hurt badly, and that's the things that we got to try to mitigate risk in this, because we do have to get event insurance for this kind of stuff. And one of the things is we need to go through and make sure that there's just not a novice signing up for an advanced race and getting hurt and needing to be evacuated, call emergency services, that kind of stuff. So we take that part pretty serious, and we set up really solid safety on the river. But yeah, it's not for beginners.
Yeah, because I'm sure your insurance goes up when that happens, doesn't it? When you get some.
Yeah, luckily we're able to work with a really great organization, American Canoe Association. Being a member of that, like a Paddle America Club, you remember that you're able to get an event insurance.
Right.
But we take it pretty serious about as far as how we set safety for the race, both on the water and then, kayakers below rapids in the water. And so if we just let, Johnny that got a new kayak from Walmart, be like, hey dude, fire it up. And, and then he totally yard sails and has a bad swim and breaks his arm or something like that. We've got to report that accident, and then
Yeah.
next year they're going to be like, hey guys, we're not going to give you insurance, so we definitely, gotta keep it on the real.
Stay on the good side.
Yeah.
Well, I want to skip a question ahead because I want to know, have you ever had any serious accidents occur at any of these events?
So far, knock on wood here. So far, no. There's been swims and, where people, definitely bruised egos for sure. Because there's, in some of the rapids, there's a lot of spectators, and it's always a bummer to swim in front of a bunch of people and, just, be ashamed. Because a lot of kayakers are pretty, alpha men and women, and don't like to look the fool.
A lot of pride going.
So yeah, there's been some swims where people, bruises, scrapes, stuff like that. But nothing major. I mean, we never had to resuscitate anybody, CPR or like, broken bones or anything like that. So far, so good. There's always the chance that can happen.
Oh, well, that's always good. Well, how far do some of these people come to enter the event?
I've had a couple friends that have come here in the summertime, because usually we do it in late July, so a lot of other places are dry out west, and we're having a schedule release. So we have had some people come from like the Pacific Northwest, Columbia River Gorge area, like Washington, Oregon. Mm-hmm. We had some paddlers come from the southeast part of the country, like Georgia, North Carolina. So, but typically most paddlers are like, the Midwest region, Wisconsin, Twin Cities area of Minnesota, a few like Iowa paddlers. There's some whitewater parks there where people train and come here.
You ever get anybody from overseas?
Not yet. I mean, I don't know if they would come destination for this event, but I mean, there's a lot of cool stuff to do. So if they did come and say, hey man, sign up and do the race, Yeah.
Well, you probably don't market that overseas though, do you?
No, not really.
Yeah. I bet if you did, they would come. It's like that. What is that stadium they would build? The Field of Dreams. If you tell them you build it, they will come.
Showcase it. Maybe they'll come.
Yeah. As I understand it, they don't have a lot of that sort of thing over there. From what Cliff Jacobson tells me.
Really?
A lot of paddle places.
I mean, I know that like in Europe, like probably more so like Western Europe, there was a lot of like slalom kayaking was pretty big in like Germany and France and stuff like that. So I know they do a lot of like events like that there, but yeah, I don't really know about other places for sure.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
So are most of the participants professional kayakers?
I wouldn't say for chance. There's like, there's professional kayakers that are like sponsored by some of the major kayak companies like Dagger or Liquid Logic, and they're traveling all over the world and running huge stuff. And they have come through, like professional kayakers have come through Minnesota before for spring thaw to run some of the rivers that spill in Lake Superior that are class 4 or 5 and some class 6 stuff. And but as far as like Paddlemania, I would say the closest thing to like professional kayakers are people that are paid to safety kayak for rafting companies, or are, raft guides for some of the companies in the Midwest or from like the Pacific Northwest. So yes and no.
Okay. And I have to say, I've been away from Minnesota for a little bit now, and I miss hearing the Minnesotan accent that you have so strongly. Yeah. Every time you say anything, I'm like, oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's almost a little Canadian sounding, isn't it?
We're pretty close to Canada. I mean,
it's that little leak down. Yeah, that's funny.
Okay, well, on that note, we're going to take a break, but don't go away. We'll be back with more of the camping show on W4CY Radio and Talk 4 TV after these messages.
It's time to go camping. Introducing Campground View's virtual tours. You can tour the campground, see the sites, see if they are available, and click to book your perfect spot. Hit the open road and explore the amazing places found in nature. We make it easy to discover, find, and book your site so that you can go have the fun and freedom you seek. Campground View's virtual tours make it easy and simple for you to see where you are going.
A few years ago, someone asked Rutabaga's owner, Darren Bush, "Hey, how long have you guys been selling boats?" Darren replied, "We don't sell boats. We sell time on the water." Of course, that comes in all types. We help people paddle more safely with Rutabaga outdoor programs. We rent canoes, kayaks, and stand-up paddleboards. We sell and install racks to get you from home to adventure. Rutabaga's got everything you need to get you out on the water, like paddles, life jackets, dry bags, and clothing. Rutabaga Paddle Sports, on the web at rutabaga.com. Mention you saw this ad on the camping show.
And we're back with our guest, Cliff Langley, here on the Camping Show. Cliff, what kind of winnings are at stake for Paddlemania?
Nothing life-changing. I mean, that's for sure. There's not mega money. We've talked about maybe having, as we're making the race more serious, having a money pot, where you could win some big prizes like that. But we do get a lot of sponsors from paddling companies. Let's see here, like Astral, Lids, Shred Ready, Snapdragon Designs. Those are paddling companies like spray skirts, helmets, life jackets. And then usually the winners of the race get first dibs of the pot of goods, if you will, and can choose what they want. So maybe in the future we might do some money as we kind of build the event to be a more serious paddling event.
Yeah. So nobody's like winning a new kayak or anything or a new car or anything like that.
I don't know.
Maybe tell him what he's won.
Maybe your Toyota to be a sponsor and win a new Tundra.
There you go.
If we did that, I'm sure we'd get pro kayakers from all over the world.
Yeah, yes, you would.
We come for that.
Yeah, just think if you were giving away a Lamborghini, it'd probably have a lot of Pelicans order going, hey,
gosh.
Yeah. I would rig the race to win that.
I would think about doing that as well. I'd be going, this is something I can't lose here because, there's a lot at stake. Well, let me ask you, what type of questions do you get asked the most about Paddlemania?
As far as participants, they ask where are the best spots to watch, and then we kind of drop some maps for volunteers to show people where the best spots are to watch along the St. Louis River, just because some spots it's in a canyon, it doesn't have the greatest access, but there's some good overlooks and stuff like that. And then I get asked a lot of questions from people that aren't kayakers, how they sign up to do the race, and then I have to kind of break it to them well, you can't be a novice. And then they're like, well, it looks easy. Just all you do is paddle. And, again, that's one of those things where, really good kayakers make running hard rapids look super easy. And so then it's anybody's hey, I can do that too. So, I got to try to say, hey, encourage them to get into kayaking because I think it's a great sport. You don't have to be a class 4 or 5 paddler. You can just do it and be class 1 and 2 and have fun, or, take it to the next level. But you definitely need to get some proper instruction before you just jump into an expert kayak race and see what happens.
Well, Michael Jordan makes basketball look pretty easy too, wouldn't you say?
For sure.
And that's what the people who are good at anything do. So, and if there are any more questions, what other questions do you get asked?
I get asked a lot. Are those guys professionals? Where are they from? What do these guys do for a living? We get asked that a lot, and that's a cool question because there's lots of different answers. I mean, it's super diverse people that are doing it, from teachers to carpenters to just full bums that guide in the United States in the summertime and then go whitewater guide in South America during our winter, their summer. So it's there's a lot of diverse people doing it. So I think that's really cool. But yet they all come together and help each other out when they're paddling. So I like the diversity backgrounds that can come together in paddle. So I get asked a lot about that. And then people ask me how to get into it.
Yeah. Let me ask you this. What's the craziest, or not craziest, but the maybe most non-typical professional that you've had in do you get any doctors or lawyers or things like that, or brain surgeons or,
Oh, yeah, for sure. One of my friends has been a long time kayaker. He's a doctor, and he was going to med school and stuff the whole time through it. A couple of my other friends, one of them, he's been kayaking for probably 25 plus years now, maybe close to 30. And he's a school psychologist for the Duluth school district, and solid kayaker. So yeah, there's definitely some high level professionals that are whitewater kayakers.
How many spectators do you get at this event?
It's hard to say an exact count. At the starting line, there's usually, 25 to 100 people. And then in Jay Cook State Park by the Swinging Bridge, there's usually at least 100 people, sometimes 200 people or more in the park watching. So I'd say, sometimes several hundred kind of spread out throughout the race course.
Yeah. That's cool. That's very cool.
And do any of these guys come out to run the course before the event?
Yes. So when so Minnesota Power, who runs the Thompson Dam, they start releasing that morning at about 10 a.m. and we usually start the races about 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock. So people have time to get here, and usually most people show up a Friday night. So people have time to get here and do a practice run in the morning, kind of dial in their lines. And then, we do the races in the afternoon, and then so most of our events are on Saturday, and then Sunday is kind of just like free paddling and just let people, paddle for fun.
And you mentioned that a lot of people ask you how to get into paddling. What advice would you give to them if someone were to approach you with that question right now?
I would say, first off, when you get into it, meet up with like a professional instructor that has equipment and try it out and see if it's something that you want to do for sure, because it's not a cheap sport to get into. Your 5 essentials, the kayak, helmet, spray skirt, paddle, life jacket, if you're just getting that basic stuff, you're dropping like $2,000 or more. So you definitely want to, make sure it's your jam before you get into it. Otherwise you're going to spend a lot of money on stuff that it's going to collect dust you're going to have to sell. And then I ask them, where they live at, and try to push them towards where I know that there's some good instructors or, rafting or kayaking companies that, can help them out and give them some good instruction. Because it's pretty easy that if you self-teach to put some bad habits into muscle memory, and then it's hard to unlearn that stuff and then learn the right way.
That's for sure. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Let's see. We are at the photo section, it looks like, right?
Cool.
Yeah. So, Roxy, give us some photos that Cliff gave us here. We can put those up on the screen. You can tell us a little bit about those, if you would, Cliff.
Right on. Well, whitewater paddling is definitely good eye candy. So, no matter what photos pop up there, there's definitely some cool stuff. One thing people are going to see is that they're going to see the St. Louis River is sort of a root beer color, or whiskey color, whatever you want to call it, and ask why. And that's just like, everybody thinks it's iron in the water and stuff like that. But the St. Louis River, like the Mississippi River and a lot of other large rivers in the northern parts of the country, come out of like bogs and swamps and decaying vegetation, and then releases tannins and gives the water that root beer color. So it's not pollution or iron. And so like in this shot right here, this is part of Paddlemania. This event here is called the Slot Machine Showcase Showdown. And they call this waterfall slot machine because, one, it's like a really narrow canyon. And they call it the Showcase Showdown because depending on if you clear it, altogether that drops probably about 12 feet from the top to the bottom at a pretty steep angle. But at the bottom, the feature there is kind of this hole. It's a retentive feature where if you don't clear it, you're going to keep getting recycled in it until either one, you find a way to paddle out of it, or a safety person with a throw bag, just a bag of rope you throw at a swimmer, pulls you out of there.
Now, is that what those guys are doing at the top of that cliff there? Is that what those people are?
Yep. So, those guys are more like onlookers. There's not a lot they can do for safety there, but on the downstream side of that, there is a guy with a throw bag. And in the other part of the picture, you can look downstream a little ways. You can see a guy in a kayak ready in case this paddler swims. But he's trying to charge up on that and then try to keep his bow up, which is the front of the kayak, as he drops into it. And then he's going to try to wait and take a late stroke at the bottom to clear that hole and keep his bow up and get out of there.
Oh, wow.
But it's always tough to do because once you go into a feature like that, the water is constantly splashing and it's like going in your eyes. So it's kind of like sometimes you're half blind. You just got to, trust your judgment and the feel of the water and trust your instincts.
Yeah.
Cool. This one right here is part of the first part of the race course. It's right under the Highway 210 bridge that the Highway 210 eventually goes into Jay Cook State Park. And this one here is called the 210 hole. Sometimes kayakers go and paddle in there. But it's a fun feature because it's just like, a 4-foot drop. And that's where the river enters this really great canyon. And like the river left is like, 150 feet high and awesome scenery. And in high water, that's just like a crazy rapid. But at these release flows, that's just like a pretty standard class 3.
Okay.
And that's the entrance rapid. So the first sequence of the downriver race, which is called Blast to the Bridge, starts out with a sequence of Class 3 plus rapids, and you can kind of see the Thompson Dam in the background. And so Thompson Dam releases water kind of through the bottom and some of those spillways. And so this guy right here literally probably just started the race about 15, 20 seconds ago. And it's like a 15, 20-minute sprint. So it's definitely like, got to know your lines, be dialed in, but also, it's a little bit aerobic and anaerobic, as far as like paddling as fast as you can for 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Along the shore, are there good paths that will allow the competitors to kind of scout for lines ahead of time?
Yes. Yeah. All these guys, that's one of the prerequisites for the race, is that you had to have paddled the river at least once before the race. So most of these guys have scouted these rapids, and most rapids, there's pretty decent shoreline where you can get out of your boat, hike around and check it out, scout the rapids.
Oh, cool.
Oh yeah, that's a good one. So this picture right here is the slot machine, and you can see there's a lot of people up top watching in the canyon. That's a great spot. It's like in the sun on the rocks, and people just kind of lay out. It's kind of like
it's a great photo.
Yeah, and sometimes people jump off, where you can see that one person closest to us in the shorts right there. People jump off that and in that hole. So where the slot machine feeds into is this like huge pothole that it's like at least 20 feet deep. So people jump off of there all the time in the summer, and even during this event, people jump off of there. And this guy, he's going to do what we call plugging it, where it just, probably didn't get his bow up too good, and his kayak just kind of fed into the hole, and then he kind of got spit back into it. I remember watching this because I took that picture, and he got recirculated around a few times at the bottom, but eventually he got pushed against that wall, and then he had to push off with his paddle, and we call that carping a roll when you're trying to roll, but you don't hit your roll. And so you get a breath there, you try again. And he got pushed against that wall, and he had to push off, and he carped like 3 or 4 rolls, but that dude kept fighting, and he eventually rolled up and paddled out. So kudos to him for hanging in there. And,
we used to call that getting Maytagged. Is that what they still call it?
Yeah, you can still call that getting Maytagged, call it getting Maytagged, getting worked. And then the shameful thing is when you swim and your stuff's everywhere, then we call that yard sale.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a question for you. There's a question for you there, Cliff. Dan Bowers wants to know, which rain dance do you recommend?
Ooh, I'm not one for a specific choreographed dance. I prefer like free flowing dancing, where you're just like, woo, dancing around. So I don't know, man. I'd say play some reggae and do what comes natural.
Interesting. There we go. This
this is slot machine right here.
I love that name though. What is it? Slot machine what?
The event, so this waterfall event, this waterfall event is after we do the downriver race.
Okay.
So it's like later in the afternoon before the awards grill out and stuff like that. So it's kind of like the last event of the day. So it's just kind of like people get around and have fun, and it's like, one person at a time is doing it. So it's kind of cool that everybody that was involved in the race, or pretty much everybody, comes to there, and it's like one person at a time. So it definitely has this real communal vibe to when we're doing the slot machine showcase showdown.
Yeah, I think
sometimes there's carnage. There's people swim and a lot of hooting and hollering, but everybody helps everybody out. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah,
pretty cool vibe for that part of the event.
I think we skipped one of the pictures there. Let's go backwards. We had no, not that one. We had a yellow boat. Keep going. One more. There was a yellow boat in the one.
Yeah. Right there.
There we go. Yep.
Yeah. This guy had a good line. So he was kind of charging right to left, and right at that lip, he got a really good stroke that kept his bow up. And then right at the bottom, he took another delayed stroke and cleared it. So, this guy had pretty good form too. And a lot of kayaking is like, it's kind of hard to tell in this picture, but you can see in some of the others is like always keeping your weight over your kayak.
Yeah.
Because a lot of kayaking it's kind of like skiing and snowboarding. You don't ride a flat ski or flat snowboard. You try to be on edge, and that's kind of where your control is. Yeah. So, I don't know. It's like you see like a good kayakers are always keeping their weight over their boat and then using the edges of the kayak to help them move across or with the current.
Yeah. Helps, but I'm sure that helps be an edge like that. Helps maneuverability, because you've got a smaller, lesser amount of the boat in the water, less surface area. Am I right?
Sure. Yeah. And then it's like too, it's about controlling your edges, because in strong current, if you edge upstream, you're going to flip, and so depending on the type of rapid, usually you don't want to be upside down too long because that's where things go bad.
Yeah.
I think that's all the photos then. Ooh.
Oh yeah.
That one.
Yeah. That guy did what's called a boof, where you get like a stroke, and then you just like land flat. So this guy took a really late stroke and just like basically he cleared the bottom, kind of sailed up past the bottom of the hole. So I don't remember who that is, but he had a good line. And then this picture right here is the racers lining up. So we send one racer when we do the Blast the Bridge race. This particular year we had 31 racers, I think. And they go one at a time. Every minute we launch a kayaker. So the gal in the blue, who's that's my wife right there, Pam, who luckily helps me work the event for me as one of the volunteers, and her friend Emily over there. So thank you, Pam and Emily. The whole event's run by volunteers, so it's like, it's great that we have people show up to be safety, to be timers. So thank you, volunteers. And then they launch, and then really the first rapid they run is this slide type rapid right here. And it's like basically just get on. It's like a water slide and try to take a late stroke. So you get your bow up, and you can see this guy's got pretty good form right here too. He's leaning forward. You want to always kind of have like an assertive position, leaning forward. He's keeping his weight over his kayak. He's actively paddling, because when you kind of just drift, that's usually when you flip over. So an active paddle blade helps keep you upright in the whitewater.
That makes a lot of sense.
I actually heard that you got married fairly recently.
Yes,
right? Congratulations.
Married, just like 2 weeks ago.
Congratulations, Cliff.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thanks. Yeah.
I have secret intel that his little bachelor party was taking the boats down the river for fun. Is that true?
We just rafting. We did some rafting and fishing. The St. Louis River is a super great bass fishing river. So we just did some smallmouth bass fishing. It was super fun. It was like real low water in the upper section, so it was bouncing off of rocks, but the fishing was incredible. So the scenery is always good. So it was a good time.
It's nobody really got fun.
Very cool.
There's a few injuries, but nothing major. People fell out, swam through some rapids, bounced off some rocks, but
because the water was so low, or you were just having too good of a time?
Good times in low water.
Okay.
They say low water, high times.
Okay.
Low water, high times. I like that.
Well, I guess kind of transitioning back to Paddlemania, I want to know what the most bizarre or impressive thing that you've ever witnessed at Paddlemania.
Bizarre? I mean, probably I've seen like somebody I thought for sure was going to swim on this rapid kind of past the finish line called Finn Falls, and I think they started to get out of their kayak and then got back in and paddled away. So yeah, nothing too bizarre. I'd say more of the bizarre things is some people's camping setups. Just like people come like, weird vans or truck conversions. Just their camping, issues, or like somebody had a guinea pig one time they were camping with. I'm like, that's weird, but whatever floats your boat. I think the most impressive thing I've seen is just like the communal sense. Like I've seen where one of the last racers had a bad swim, and all the other racers that finished the race, like the top 10 people, instead of getting out of their kayak, they all helped with safety, and they helped chase this guy's kayak down, got his paddle back. And it's like a rapid. Usually you swim, you're going to lose your paddle and stuff like that. It's the class 5 rapid called Finn Falls. And I was just like impressed how fast everybody rallied, even though it's a pretty competitive race, just like people rally and help each other out for people they don't know. And that's super impressive. I like to see more of that in the world, but
good to see that kind of stuff. Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
For
people
sure.
working together. Yeah. That is very cool. Let me ask you this. What changes, if any, have taken place since Paddlemania first began? And do you see any changes being made here in the near future?
Yeah. Well, like I said earlier, like it started out on Taylor's Falls, and then in the St. Croix River, and then we brought it to the St. Louis River in Carlton.
Mm-hmm.
And we've kind of evolved over time. We used to do like a team rafting race, but it was really hard to get enough experienced raft guides so that there wasn't just like a yard sale of rafts flipping everywhere and stuff like that. So that one we kind of like tried out. I don't know if we'll keep doing that in the future or not. But for like the kayak race, Blast of the Bridge, instead of just doing that class 3-4 race, now we're gonna split that whole section of river into 2 races. The first part being a class 3 and 4 race that ends there's one particular rapid on the St. Louis River right on the lower section right in the middle called the Octopus.
Okay.
Weird rapid. It gets its name because there's all these weird kettles in the rock, and then the water goes in this huge kettle, and then it spills out of it into all these different lines. So they call it the Octopus. So the first race we're going to have go from the beginning rapids through the canyon and then through the end, and as paddling the Octopus. The end of the Octopus rapid will be that finish line. And then we're going to do another race that starts out just above the Swinging Bridge in Jay Cook State Park. That's going to be a class 4-5 kind of sprint race. It'll only be like 5 minutes long. But it starts out where you run, a complex class 4 into then a class 5 rapid that has a class 4 run out. So it's pretty serious rapid for sure. Like swimming there is not good. So definitely got to be class 4 or 5 boater for that part. So we're upping the seriousness of the race, but still giving a class 3-4 option so that it's more inclusive, more paddlers, but also expert paddlers be like, sweet, there's a challenging section of rapids that we'd like to come run. So I think we're just kind of making it a little bit not only more inclusive, but also just capture like the expert spirit of whitewater. Come here and run some class 5.
Now, when you're saying you're going to divide this up into multiple races.
Yeah.
Multiple. Okay. How's this going to work? Is one's right after the other, or are they're not all going on at the same time? Are these?
No, they're not going to go at the same time.
Okay.
We're going to call it phase 1 and phase 2.
Okay.
So the phase 1 race will happen first,
and
then we'll restation the safety and the timers. And then some people are going to choose to do both races. So then they can just, paddle the little flat water section in between. Actually, it's called the Boneyard. It's like this mile of like class 2 boulders.
Okay.
So we took that out of the race so people don't have to sprint that. So then those paddlers will paddle on to the start of the phase 2, the class 4 or 5 expert race, where people just shuttle down there, with their cars and kayaks into the park. And then once everybody's restationed, probably about a half hour after the first race starts, and the second race will start.
Okay. So there's people can do both races. It's not just you have to pick one or the other.
Yeah, for sure. People can do both races.
Okay. That's for people who are interested. Yeah.
Yep.
And what does it take to get ejected from your boat?
Oh man. A lot of times it's like kayaking's a mental game for sure. I mean, it helps to be, in like great shape, for it. Like, be buff, sure, maybe. But, I've seen a lot of kayakers that are like great kayakers that, maybe it looks like they eat at McDonald's too much or something like that. No body shaming here, right? I'm just saying that, not everybody is like totally like jacked with a 6-pack is an awesome kayaker. That's not always, it's more of a mental game, like the timing of that right stroke, that stroke you need to take, when to edge and all that. So usually when people bail out of their kayak is, they mistime a paddle stroke and they go into a hole and they flip, and then they're getting recirculated in that hole. And, they try to reach out to grab the green water, which is typically the term used for the outflow, where you can grab something to, grab you in your kayak and get you out of that hole. But sometimes it doesn't always work that way. And you just know you got to swim, and you reach that grab loop on your spray skirt and pull it, But
okay.
Yeah, sometimes people get auto ejected. The entrance to the Octopus Rapid, there's a class 5 entrance. People can do like a sneak line where they do a slide around it. But there's this cauldron where water goes all into this kettle, and then there's sort of another flume of water that hits that, and then there's just this chaotic water everywhere. It goes off this rock wall, and a lot of people don't do the beak, part of the octopus in the race because they're afraid of messing up, and usually results in that as a swim. But some kayakers it's like, hey, it saves you like 10 seconds, and they go in there. And I saw one kayaker go in there and he just got pushed deep and it like ripped him right out of his kayak.
Wow.
Just like that, they're swimming, and that's kind of normal. Sometimes when kayakers run really big drops, their spray skirt implodes and the kayak fills up with water, the current just separates the two and you're swimming just like that.
So the spray skirt implodes. That's interesting.
Yeah.
I haven't seen that. Yeah.
Yeah. Just, I've had it happen to me a few times back in my, I'm 44 now, so I'm not running as many big drops anymore because, your back gets messed up and your shoulders get messed up. But I ran this drop on the Cascade River in the North Shore Lake Superior. It's the last waterfall right before Lake Superior. It's probably like 40-foot waterfall. But all the water just kind of piles into this one spot. So sometimes you kayak off of it and you kind of, you pencil in on that one because it's just the way it is. And then all the volume of water, the way it is just like sometimes you hit and your spray skirt just boom, implodes, comes undone. And then there you are swimming.
So the water just forces it. There's so much force that it just collapses. But
boom.
Yeah, then you're done.
Yeah, and then you're swimming.
Yeah. Hey, real quick, what's the cost to get into to enter Paddlemania?
Okay, so kayakers that want to enter the race, it's if you're an American Canoe Association member, an ACA member with the insurance, then it's $15. If you're a non-ACA member, it's $20, and that extra $5 goes towards the insurance, and then the rest of the money helps pay for the event insurance, permits, and everything else like that. So it's really for everything that's involved. We should probably charge more, but we want to keep it cheap and
that's relatively inexpensive.
Yeah, it really is. But some kayakers are cheap and they'll complain about $20. We're just like, dude, you know what I mean? Like, come on, we'll go spend $100 a night at the bar and then complain about $20 for a race. It's like,
isn't that the truth though? Right?
Yeah.
Here's my $100. We're gonna get drunk today, but $20 to get a race? Really?
I know.
I get it.
And you're involved with a whitewater rafting company, right?
Right. Yep.
So where's the intersection between, I think it's called Swiftwater Paddle and Paddlemania? Swiftwater Adventures, yes. Yeah.
Swiftwater Adventures is a sponsor for is one of the sponsors for the race. And then we help use some of our vehicles to help shuttle paddlers around. Other than that, we're just one of the sponsors. And then I just took it on to run this race. And I also run another race on the Lester River. The Lester River race is called in Duluth, and that's a class 4 or 5 creek. And that race runs whenever the spring thaw happens, the first Saturday of spring thaw. Then that race is on, and that one is cold, but some pretty impressive rapids. The Lester River flows right into Lake Superior on the eastern edge of Duluth.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Now, you how many years you said this has been going on?
So this is going to be, we had to take a COVID break and a drought break one year. So I think this will be like year 18 of Paddlemania.
18.
2022 will be year 18.
Wow. That's a long time.
Yeah.
Is that one of the oldest races around the Midwest here?
Man, I don't know. There's the Green River race in North Carolina. I think that's been going on at least 20 plus years.
Okay.
So, and I'm sure there's a few other kayak races, probably in the Arkansas River in Colorado, that's been going on for probably 30 plus years. But I think for the Midwest, it's probably one of the older races.
Yeah, that's quite a while. It really is. Yeah. Yeah.
And you noted that some of the photos from the pictures that you showed, you actually took. So were you not participating in those events that year, or?
Well, some years I've also raced, but I found that was way extra stress because one is you got to have your game face on when you're running class 4 and 5, and a distracted mind is usually one that makes mistakes. So in years past, I would do the race and I would also organize it. And then it would be my turn to go. I would always put myself the last racer. And that's when the local news station shows up and wants to do an interview. And then all of a sudden I'm doing an interview 30 seconds before I'm supposed to race. And I'm just man, this is really stressful. I want to have more fun. And I'm I kayak this river all the time anyway. So I recuse myself from racing and just focus on making sure that it's a really good event. And then sometimes, I'll have some fun and I'll try to take pictures at different spots along the way. Just, just to kind of, help showcase what's going on so people can see it.
They come up to you at the last minute to interview you before the race.
Yeah, I try to tell local news stations, all right, like, hey, this is a great time. Like, the race starts at 1:30. Show up at like 12:30 for the interviews and stuff like that. But that's the thing with like with different forms of media. Like complaining to them really never helps. So it's just like just take it on the chin and keep on keeping on.
News media people, I'll tell you, right? Yeah.
Well, I heard dogs barking in the background, and I have to ask what kind of dogs you have.
Fierce dogs. My guess is the UPS guy just showed up and they showed him. He dropped off that package and he took off.
I mean, he loves your house, man.
Yeah, don't mess with him. I got one dog is a total mutt named Finn, and he looks like a miniature lab, like a lab corgi mix, but he's not. He's a mutt. He's a bunch of different things. And then we got a one-eyed Chihuahua named Rennie. They're both rescue dogs.
Oh wow,
yeah,
that's cool. That's very cool.
Do they ever come on the river with you?
Yeah, we take them rafting. Rennie, the little Chihuahua, doesn't like the bigger water so much. Finn loves the water. He jumps in. We got life jackets for him that have little handles on the back. So if they do take a swim or choose to swim, you could just grab them and throw them back in the raft. And they both love canoeing. We take them canoeing on different lakes and stuff.
That's cool. Very cool.
That's so cute. And where can our viewers and listeners go to learn more about Paddlemania and sign up to enter?
Yes. So if they want to learn more or to sign up, they can go to paddle-mania.com. And on that website, it's really easy to click on the links to sign up, or just, all the event information is right on there. And then we also have a Facebook page and an Instagram account as well, where people can, check out images and, get latest updates.
Yeah, very cool. Well, we'd like to thank you, Cliff, for being our guest here on the Camping Show. It was a pleasure having you here with us this evening.
Hey, thanks, guys. I had a good time, and time flew, and hopefully my Minnesota accent wasn't too thick that the viewers in the Southern Range can understand me.
I just caught it. I Minnesota. I love it.
Oh, yeah.
We'd
also like to thank our sponsors, Campground Views and Rutabaga Paddle Sports, for bringing you tonight's show.
Be sure to tune in for next week's episode, Ellen Magellan's Sea Journey Preparation, with our special guest, Ellen Falterman.
Until then, thank you for tuning in to The Camping Show.
This is C.W. Getz
and Willow Munson,
reminding you,
learn more,
do more. See you next week.
Bye.
Bye.